What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki here with the Two Tree Guy Podcast. This is another episode of Gear Talk. And if you guys have never listened to Gear Talk, this is where we bring different manufacturers, vendors, partners in to talk about different products and gear and how it's used, and all the way from the factory and the design to safety components and features and so on and so forth on that. But we also have different other podcasts that you can listen to. We have our mini episodes of What's Your Story, talking to industry badasses about all sorts of things and hearing their story. Also talking about different topics within our industry. We have our full-length episode, which is in Santa Rosa, California. If you're ever in town in California and you want to be on the show, stop by. We'll house you, feed you, and we'll do an awesome podcast and drink some beer with you there. Jared may or may not be a part of it, but I'll be there, and that's the most important thing. And then we have our safety talks, or our safety flashes. And what this is we talk about incidents that happen in the industry. Fatalities to injuries to near misses, and how do we control that, and how do we learn from that to make sure this doesn't happen in the future to anybody from there. So you guys listening today, if you guys laugh, if you get something, if you learn something today, we got one fee to the show. It is pay it forward, send it out, tag someone in there, share it with somebody that can learn from this today, and make our industry better tomorrow than it is today out here by these shows from here. But I'm joined with two veterans in the industry. One, the sexiest man in tree care, Josiah. the shirtless climber.
Wonder.
Yeah.
Eighth wonder.
It's stapled forever for you from
no
there.
Kidding.
And Megan, ambassador with Husqvarna. Not Husqvarna. Used to.
Yeah.
I used to work for them.
Work for them. Okay. With Edelrid.
Yep.
Now for that. And we're going to be talking about some Edelrid products on the Climb Green initiative that they just started with VSG, Cheryl, Tree Stuff. We're going to hear a little bit more about that, and some different products are in that Climb Green. So I'm going to let you kick it off, my friend. Go for it, Josiah.
Appreciate it. So, I mean, the whole Climb Green idea is something that Edelrid's been pushing for a long time. In 2009, we got our entire dynamic rope line Blue Sign certified, which is a very arduous, expensive kind of pain process where this Blue Sign entity with some third party comes in and audits the whole manufacturing process.
What does Blue Sign mean?
Blue Sign, it's an entity. It's like a third party entity that basically just says, hey, if you get it, it's saying that, hey, you guys are doing a really good job being sustainable and ethical in your sourcing, in your manufacturing process. You're being efficient. And here's why. And it's like quite the arduous, expensive process.
I've never even heard of that ever before. So
Patagonia does it, right?
Who?
I think Patagonia.
Patagonia, yeah. They're Blue Sign, and there are a lot of, you'll kind of see, now that you've heard of it, you'll see a little like asterisks, and some of these other companies will have products that contain some Blue Sign certified materials or whatever. And that just means that some part of their process has been Blue Sign certified. One of their suppliers or whatever maybe went through the process. Very few companies in this industry, I don't know of any offhand, actually have any big portion of it that is certified. So
got it.
We have a handful of products in our industrial line that are Blue Sign certified. Our interstatic rope, which has the airman in it, is Blue Sign. This one, which actually has the recycled sheath, isn't Blue Sign because I think the polyester in the core you can't get that. There's some part of that process that doesn't qualify. So it's very particular.
Who started this with Edelrid to?
Oh, this one is. No, it's Blue Sign.
Who started with Edelrid to go? This is where we want to go as a company.
Yeah. So we were. Let's see. The company was bought by Vaudet a number of years back, and that was just a big part of his ethos and his ethic. And so they decided to invest in that sustainability. I want to say sometime around 2008, 2009, but I don't know the history terribly well.
Okay.
It's a German company. They are a little bit more progressive about their sustainability, environmental concerns than we are here in the U.S. But we're getting there.
Now, why do you think that is?
Why
is it important to them and not as important to us?
I suspect it comes down to a history of like they've got a much deeper and longer history of their environment and the impact over centuries. Where in the U.S. we came into this virgin country and then there was no holds barred, laissez-faire capitalism for centuries, decades.
Yeah.
Or not centuries and generations now. And so we're just finally getting to the point where there's both a lot of affluence, like there's enough money to care and to invest, and we don't have to do things the most efficient way. We don't have to do things the most cost efficient way, the most profitable way. There's enough buffer now that we can actually reinvest in the environment, even if it does cost us something. And so we're starting to see a lot more adoption here in the U.S. now.
Got it. Now, is there other companies within our industry that are pushing towards blue sign?
Towards blue sign specifically, I don't know of any offhand who are like trying to actually integrate their whole supply chain. I don't know of any offhand.
I can't say that I do either.
No.
I've never even heard of it.
Tree care industry, I know, like, there's quite a few companies out there like Petzl that has a really big sport side like Edelrid does. And I feel like it kind of leaks in from the sport, rock climbing, mountaineering, alpinism, and those values. And then it comes into the professional. It seems to be the kind of the process.
The people who play out in the wilds, they care a lot.
Yeah.
They're right there on the front lines. And actually, we make a lot of Petzl's dynamic ropes. Edelrid does. They just kind of rebrand them. So there's a lot of overlap there. And that's kind of where the Climb Green came from. So that was originally a campaign on the sports side. So our most popular selling rope on the sports side is a Climb Green rope that we made out of the offcuts of all of the so the fibers, the little fibers that we actually weave these things out of. They come on these big spools, and when you finish your rope run, sometimes you've got some left on the spool, and what do you do with it? Well, it's cheap to just throw it away and then get some new ones. But we figured out a way to integrate different spools from different rope runs into the same rope, and now we get the BOA Eco, which it's an upcycled, so we're not actually recycling something. It was never used in the first place, but we're taking something that otherwise would have been waste and using it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of cool to be able to do that. Recycling in the personal protective industry is really, really difficult. And Edelrid, in partnership with REI, actually went through quite a process to try and figure out a way if we could recycle some of the ropes. So obviously ropes, textiles, PPE, it's all got shelf life. Stuff gets used and abused. And the thought was, hey, we go through all these ropes. We got connections with all these climbers, all these people. Let's see if it costs feasible, or even if it benefits, like it has a net benefit to collect all these ropes, recycle the material, and produce new ropes. And what they realized was that actually it doesn't work out well. Transportation alone takes out most of the value that you're getting by recycling. Not to mention if like people are driving it in different places, like it could be really bad. So they decided to focus more on the production side and say, okay, how can we use less material? How can we reuse some of the waste products that haven't yet gone to consumers? So there's no travel involved with any of that. And it turns out that's a really challenging problem. When it comes to protection equipment, this stuff is maxed out. Like we want every bit, 100% of the strength of this material. And when you go to recycle something, after it's been pulled once, it needs to be heated again. It goes through processes but it always degrades. It degrades the quality of the material. Yeah. And you don't want to use degraded quality material in some PPE product. So bringing it back up to that usable standard is hard. It's really difficult. So we were stoked a couple years back to come out with the Neo, which is a rock climbing rope. It's a dynamic rope that is the first one to be made of completely recycled ropes. So all of our, again, offcuts, there's a lot of waste in factories because if you have any issue in your rope, then you can't keep it, can't give it to someone. There's too much risk. It needs to be essentially flawless. So when a run goes through and the tension on one bobbin's not right and it's got a little bump, like whatever, anytime that happens, that would normally go to the bin. But they were able to recycle that material and produce a dynamic rope, which was really exciting.
Now, was this by accident that they did, or were they focused on?
It was a multi-year effort. It was like a 3-year effort.
It's like, we're going to figure out
how to do this. Yep,
I'd
exactly.
be super curious of what expenditures went into that, like to actually transfer manufacturing, etc.
It was hard. It was really
Yeah.
a challenge. I think there's a video on it on the Edelrid website, because we've got some videos about the sustainability stuff, and so they talk a little bit about that process. They take it and they grind it all back up, then they melt it in these pellets, and then the pellets go through a different process to be extended back into fibers, and it's all kind of necessary in order to make that happen.
So why, in our industry, the tree care industry, why is this important to the people that are climbing every day, or the sustainability part? Because some people don't give two shits. So
Right.
why is it important, and why should they care?
I mean, it's not your world, it's your kid's world, and the key to the idea, I mean, the word sustainability is kind of a buzzword. It brings to mind all these images, but we forget what it means. And the reality is we want to play a game, our work, our life, we want to play a game that can go on forever, or ideally, or at least indefinitely. And the key to being able to do that is not to destroy ourselves in the process.
Yeah.
And if you look at the forests in California, they are an absolute mess right now, because the initial practice of deforestation, their initial practice of timber harvesting, was a fundamentally unsustainable process. Like, you can't clear cut and then have regrowth and expect the forest to be good and healthy over and over and over again. Like, yeah, timber is a renewable resource. Like, it is sustainable when done properly, but our current situation right now with the wildfires and with the mudslides and with all this,
Beetle kill,
all these climate cataclysms
Yeah.
are not just freaks of nature. No, this is the consequence of unsustainable practices. So we need to care about these sort of things, because as we grow as a society, as we try to live in our world, we want to be able to keep doing that. And if we don't, get on top of making these things as sustainable as possible, then it won't be sustained. Like, at some point, the game ends, and nobody wants that.
No, that's a good explanation from that. You actually I'm like, let's do this, let's go. And Edelrid kind of leading that charge right now. Which is cool. And it's one of these things where you probably get people going, I don't care, it's not a big deal to me. But because you guys are continue to push this forward, all of a sudden you get one other company that goes, you know what, we do care. And then next thing you know, it becomes the norm in the industry for every single company to be able to have a company in our industry. They have to have the blue sign. They have to be a sustainable company.
And the reason it matters to the end user is that, the reason we're telling the end users is because they are the ones whose demand we are trying to fulfill. So when it comes down to it, if the person climbing the tree says, hey, I would rather buy a rope that was, manufactured with blue sign standards, and they do that, then that is $1 that goes back to reinforcing that ethos at the manufacturer level. Manufacturers are the ones generating the majority of the waste, because we just deal with so much volume, but it's the end user that creates the demand. So if they demand that sustainability, the manufacturers will comply. You can be sure.
I think the other thing too, like there's obviously a lot of feel good with it, right? Like, we care about our environment, we care about the world we live in, or we should, right? And like, I have a whole spiel about culture change within tree care, but also like taking that out of it and looking at it ROI, right? Being able to go and market to end users and homeowners, etc. Homeowners care about sustainability. So from a branding and marketing standpoint, being able to market yourself, and you're seeing companies jump on this everywhere. Oh, we're a green company, we're a green, we recycle paper, whatever their initiative is, right? But to be able to fundamentally go to the marketing board and talk to your homeowners when you're bidding, etc., of like, no, we're ethically sourced, like we do X, Y, and Z, we source through manufacturers that recycle. It looks good on you as a company and progressive as well.
There you go.
And especially in Charlotte, like I'm based out of Charlotte, there's a lot of homeowners that care quite a bit about, I've been asked on jobs, so like, what are you using for your lubrication? Is that biodegradable, etc., right?
Yep.
And it matters. And especially if you have the forethought to market it appropriately and having the talking points, you can work it in your favor as well.
Exactly.
Yep.
Sorry.
Totally. No, that's good.
No, that is. It's, you're doing it for today, for your business.
Yeah, I don't
for the
mean mean
homeowner.
about it and just be like, oh, it's money, but
No, but I mean, at the same, you're in business to make money and to grow. And if it's something that helps increase that, while also, why not?
Yeah.
And while also helping out, the future, and you also can make money from it. Yeah. It's a
Absolutely.
no-brainer.
Yep, absolutely. And it doesn't cost you that much more. I mean,
No.
almost all these products are, we're trying to sell them at market rates, and we have to sell them at market rates because otherwise we won't sell it. We don't have margins on it. Like this rope is a Buco with the recycled fibers in the sheath is we hardly make any money on this at all.
So what happens when you guys all go blue sign on every product? And if you're not making money on the products, then what happens?
I mean, what's going to happen is that everyone will adopt the process. The process will get a little bit cheaper. The prices will go up a little bit, and the market rate will be pretty standard.
Gotcha.
All of a sudden, everyone can afford to do it better. Yeah, I mean, we're new, and anything at the early stages is expensive. Like, we're still investing in this stuff, and we're not really getting the ROI on it yet as a company on the top level. But we know it's the right thing, and we've seen it in other industries as they've started to go more sustainable, that it's worked for them. It's been beneficial. We see the movement on the social level, like you said. At the end, the clients themselves, they would prefer a more sustainable product. You know?
And as our culture changes in tree care, I mean, I feel like we're truly in a radical shift of kind of the old school, tough it out, suck it up, buttercup, figure it out, and like, you know, using spurs to prune, etc., and just going down and chopping trees and not trying to even educate homeowners or clients of like, no, maybe not doing root removal. We can do X, Y, and Z. Here's why you want to not cut that, right? So we're in a movement of radical change as an industry, and I think that this is going to be a large part of it. And it was a big factor for me.
Yeah.
Because I care. Like, I want to know that my stuff is ethically sourced. I don't, like, everyone deserves, regardless of where we've drawn arbitrary lines on a map, on a world, and said, this is the U.S. and this is Mexico and this is whatever. Everyone deserves to have a working wage and to be in safe conditions, not just my industry, right? So, like, I care.
Yep.
And that's something that's mattered to me.
Man, this is getting deep. I like it. Shit, man. I mean, this is good stuff. This is good.
It is, and it's a long road.
I need a couple soapboxes for you guys to get up on and start preaching to everybody. Man. Where's the
proverbial
microphone?
Soapbox here, I think.
Man, give me chills on this, you know, because I you know, coming in the Climb Green, Blair shot me an email on it and, you know, told me a little bit about it, but not too much. So hearing this right now, it's cool to see how it's changing my perspective on, you know, and my outlook on this is important. Where I'm like, you know, maybe a while ago, I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
You know, I mean, and that's probably the majority of the people. I don't give two shits. But then hearing the explanation and educating me on this, I'm going, oh, this is a difference. Okay, this does make sense. But, you know, how does it work? Why are they doing this? It's not just for a marketing play, and it's for a future for our industry and for the world. So,
and we haven't even talked about the best part about the green.
There's a best part?
The best part,
shit, give it.
For the tree workers themselves, because obviously the 3 R's of sustainability: reduce, reuse, recycle. The first step is reduce, and that means building things that last. Like, let's reduce our consumption. Let's just not need as much stuff because my stuff lasts. And so that's a big part of what we're trying to do at Edelrid. We've got all these aluminum carabiners we all know and love, and they went through some kind of ridiculous engineering to embed this stainless steel in it. Because stainless steel is harder, tougher, lasts longer, more durable. That's the point where carabiners wear out.
Who else is doing that?
No one. As far as I know, no one. I've never seen that. And it's hard because, okay, a little bit of metallurgy for you. Metals, as you heat, they expand. A lot of people know that. Different metals expand differently. So to actually mechanically bond stainless steel to aluminum in such a way that it's stable is not easy. It's really hard to do. And it's so hard that actually they wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't tell me how they did it because it's so much of a trade secret here.
Yeah.
It's hard. It was a process to figure that out. So now this was specifically designed for outdoor rock climbers because when they belay, you run a rope, like long sections of rope through here. So they'll frequently go through carabiners just because of the wear. Also on quick draws, when you're rock climbing, you tend to fall, and there's usually a crux move on a route, and you get a lot of falls there. You can wear through carabiners pretty quick. But with these stainless steel ones, they last longer.
So how long is last longer? Is it you get an extra year, you get an extra 6 months, month?
Depends on your use. Depends a lot on
Let's
your
just say average use. I mean, compared to this carabiner and this carabiner, you're going to extend the life by 10%. I mean, guess-wise, what you think because of that steel that's in there.
This is a 3-ish-year-old carabiner that on my harness that sees at least as much regular use as any others. It functions every bit as good as the day I bought it, and I have no qualms with it. I've I don't have many other carabiners that have done the same. Could I say it's going to make twice? I don't know. If I was a rope access guy who was clipping into steel anchors all the time, I would probably get easily double out of it, because that weight on the steel versus the aluminum is going to beat the heck out of that carabiner. And I just would replace them for the sake of my own peace of mind.
So on
often.
this, what's the cost on that?
This one is about $35.
Okay.
So it's probably $5 to $6 more than an equivalent triple locker that's all aluminum.
So normally, if that is last twice as long, I mean,
so it might be 20% more expensive, but it might be 40-50% more longer lasting. Who knows?
and that's better ROI.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like when I was talking about the Hikes boots, they use bull leather, and they're the only boot out there that uses bull leather, and because heifers expand, getting pregnant and stretching the leather, they source from one bull. They use it for that boot. It's not different bulls. It's only for that. So it'll last almost twice as long as your normal boot. So the cost
because of
is
the consistency of
the leather,
material.
and because it's bull, which is not
Interesting.
stretchy.
Wow.
I just thought that was cool.
That's
so
fascinating.
so if you get, if I'm doing a price comparing boot wise or, carabiner wise, and I get a longer last because I paid $5 more, it's cheaper in the long run, because I'm not replacing it as much. So you have to look at that when you're looking at different products, when you're purchasing for that. So that's an important feature.
That's the whole built to last thing. I mean, this is the megawatt. We talked about it before. All of the wear points are stainless. So everywhere your rope is going to likely rub frequently is stainless steel rather than aluminum. And so same thing, built to last. We compromise some weight. It's going to be heavier. People don't like weight, so that's a cost for that, but it's going to hold up way longer. If I know anything about tree guys, they care more about how long it's going to last than how much it weighs.
They don't have $400 and $300 to just throw away, or not throw away, but to.
This is cheaper too.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that they got this at the price that they did. It's so surprising to me.
Now let me ask you on the sustainability part and what Edelrid's doing and the Blue Sign kind of initiative. By putting the steel on the carabiner like that, it lasts longer, stuff like that. And if we're pushing to make the industry better and the world better, why wouldn't they share that some? I mean,
it's probably more than one way to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I'd love for someone else to find it, but that might be.
It's just one of those things. Like in Tesla, Elon
open source code, and
he gave it all away to the entire world,
and worth what? $20 billion. That's easy
more
to give away.
More than that. That's for sure.
So I will say what's interesting on that point is that in Europe, and I learned this when I was working at Husqvarna, if you develop something and patent something in Europe that would be considered better for the world around them, they are legally obligated to share that information.
Really?
Interesting.
And I don't know what there's obviously thresholds there. I'm not entirely sure what the threshold is, but when we were developing stuff for chainsaws that were proprietary, they would try to patent it in the U.S. specifically so that
they wouldn't have to share it with the
rest of the world. And I'm not saying Husqvarna specifically, but just companies would try to patent outside of Europe because of that specific.
That's really interesting.
So I mean,
can you grab that carabiner off the harness right behind you? The other thing we figured out too on that same vein is you don't actually need anodizing to make the carabiner last longer.
Okay.
And so that's just an extra step, an extra chemical treatment, more water usage. And so now we make these with no anodizing. And so they're just cool, shiny silver carabiners. That's just raw aluminum.
Cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I mean, I like my colors, but if I'm going to be a little more sustainable.
Now, what else? What else on the helmet?
Yeah, we can talk about the helmet here. So when we were talking about recycling things and how difficult that is to make PPE, one of the challenges, what are the products we could make with all this excess rope that we, all these offcuts, all these issues? So they developed a process to make the shells and the EPS foam on the inside entirely out of recycled materials.
Oh, the foam too?
Yep. The
That's
basket,
incredible.
So the actual, what do they call it? The carrier is not. So that's the only part that's not recycled on this, but the shell and the impact foam are. Yep. And our original, say with the talons, we originally made that out of nylon, or out of recycled, but then they were not quite strong enough, so they had to kick that out and get some virgin material, and it made it better.
Now, how long till all the products are blue signed?
Oh, I don't know.
Do they have a goal or a year or what they're trying to get to?
I have no idea.
So eventually they're going to be, will their whole company be kind of a blue sign company?
I don't know how that process works to know if that's the sort of thing that is possible.
Yeah.
So
is it more of a stamp on products than maybe as a company?
I think that's generally how it works, because every product line can have a completely different manufacturing process. Mm-hmm. So like we mentioned with the saddles, they're made in Vietnam, but all of our ropes are actually manufactured in Germany. So, but all of the fibers come from some other source that actually sells fibers to just about every rope company. So the raw materials come from some place that then goes out to all these different companies who then make their own ropes in their own ways. And in fact, most of the rope machines that we all use are from the same companies. And there's a lot of overlap, but the idea with Blue Sign is to track the process through from start to finish on a product.
Got it.
Where do you think, as an industry specific to tree care, do you see other companies starting to follow suit? Like Edelrid leading the charge, and then other companies. I mean, obviously we partnered with VSG to launch this program. So
VSG
that's
is
a
a great
statement.
example. They're really trying, and they started at what I would consider kind of like the baby steps for a company, where they bought carbon credits. They're investing in essentially planting trees. So they're trying to offset their carbon usage by planting some carbon consuming bioorganisms, some trees. Yeah. And it's a step in the right direction. It's an easy step to just give some money compared to reinvest or reorganizing your whole structure to be more efficient. But that's where it starts. Yeah. The willingness to spend some money, that's the hard part. After that, it's a matter of, okay, what's going to give us the best return? And I think in the tree industry, that's the conversation that needs to be had is, okay, where can we get the best return for the long-term future of sustainability for the environment with kind of the least investment? Where's the low-hanging fruit? And we'll start going after that first.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else on the Climb Green kind of initiative?
Initiative?
With the partnership with VSG. Let's talk about that a little bit. VSG is, they're Sterling, Notch,
Honey
Brothers. What else? Tree stuff. Cheryl. Everything. So, why was that partnership important to Edelrid?
It was important to us because they are by far our biggest single retailer who we are a dealer that we sell our products to. And so it was a big deal for us because it meant that we're going to get a lot more of our product line, and even products that aren't Blue Sign specifically, even ones that aren't exceptionally sustainable, like the harnesses, for example, because if we can sell more through them, we can sell more of the stuff, then we will take the profits from selling that stuff that is more profitable but maybe not quite as sustainable, and then we get to reinvest that into the green process, develop better technologies so that we can recycle more efficiently, so that we can make our buildings more efficient. And it's a cycle that at the moment we got to make money however we can, and it's going to transition more and more towards being more sustainable, more green, all the way across the board.
And that's the best partner to have, VSG, on this whole thing. It definitely, because they are connected to so many manufacturers all over the world, it helps saying, they're a big leader. They're a big influence in our industry, of course. So them partnering
super on
with
board with it. They're so on board with.
And Nick Bonner was a big part of that. Blair said, So shout outs to Nick Bonner, because I know he's probably our number one fan on the show. So appreciate you, Nick. You're listening to it. Guys, if you're listening to this, make sure you tag Nick on this, so he knows he's our number one fan. But he was a big part of pushing this and seeing the future.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job drawing attention to it. Yeah, Tree Stuff kills it with the marketing.
They're awesome. Yep. Disruptors.
And I'm stoked to see who comes out of the woodwork as actually having other green products. Yeah, because once he posts that on Tree Stuff, that new category, new people are going to come forward hey, we've got a green product, and I'm excited to see what those are.
Now, is that shirt a Blue Sign shirt? That's recycled, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, this is some cover
sheath
from a rope.
Yeah.
Yep. So when you wash it and dry it, it shrinks. It's really interesting.
Oh, actually, I came across one the other day by a company, Marlowe Ropes.
Okay.
We don't use many of them here in the tree industry, but they actually have a rope that they've made from recycled plastic, like bottles. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was slick too. It's a PPE rated rope. So
that's cool.
One of the first, another early first.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's happening.
It's happening, guys. It's happening. And if you guys are listening to this right now, which you are, go go buy some of these Blue Sign products out there. Support the future. They don't cost anymore, right? They don't cost anymore.
They're
for
basically the same as market. Yeah, it's right in the middle.
You're helping our industry. You're helping the future of this and supporting sustainability, and we're going to see a lot more people that are going to start using this. And like Megan was saying, it's great marketing. It's great for your clients to know that you're trying to do more than just make a buck, but you're trying to help on that side too for our environment and for the future for that. So
absolutely. Go vote with your dollar.
Go vote with your dollar. Give us a little bit about yourself real quick and where they can find you, tag you, hire you, who you are.
Meg Bujnowski, owner of Upward Training and Development. You can find me, if you guys know, Chainsaw Meg on Instagram. But you can also find me at my website, upward-training.com, for any of your needs, or if you just want to chat and you have some questions. I'm always checking my inbox. So not just looking to make a buck, but also just doing my best to help and to chat and have good conversations with amazing people out there.
Get a hold of her, guys. Josiah?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can find me at stridertrees.com. I've got some training stuff going on up there, and I've got my YouTube channel, Strider Trees. It used to be Strider Tree Gear, so you can still find me there too.
And he'll be the November cover of our calendar that's coming out.
I hope there's someone got a good picture out of
Two
that.
Tree Guys.
You have no idea where we're going to take this.
Oh,
gosh. Phenomenal.
Guys, you listen to another episode of Gear Talk. Awesome Climb Green initiative that Edelrid is pushing and partnering with VSG and Tree Stuff and Cheryl out there. So we appreciate those guys taking the lead on this. We know how costly it is to be able to build a program like this, but you guys are going to change life and change the future. So we appreciate that. If you guys like the show, share it. Remember to continue to elevate the standard of the industry through safety training, innovation, like Edelrid. See you later. Bye.